What's going on, guys? This is Seth Ford here, and today I am back with another college football prediction video. And today I'm going to be talking about the Florida Gators versus the Miami Hurricanes, or also known as the U. So this game will be played on August 31st of this upcoming season. This is a rivalry game, and so Florida, Miami, last year they both kind of struggled. So this year is going to be different, and so maybe both teams this year will potentially have better seasons. I think that Billy Napier is kind of on the hot seat for Florida. Mario Cristobal, who knows, could be also, depending on how this year's pans out. They got a lot of transfers coming in. Billy Napier, on the other hand, they kind of lost a lot of guys. So we may never know. Or I could be totally wrong that both teams can actually have a good season. But I think that both teams are a little bit shaky right now, mainly Florida too. And also, Miami did a lot of went out in the transfer portal and pretty much got a lot of players for this year. Okay, so as like I always do for my other videos, you guys can go check out the latest video that I posted, which is the Georgia versus Clemson game. I usually like to do a slideshow since it's the off season too, and so I try to get all the information based off of like websites like Athlon Sports, like On3, and of course OurLads.com. You guys can go check them out as well. Okay, so let's begin with the slideshow. Okay, so last season wasn't great for both teams, though Miami did go 7-6 and went to the bowl game, but lost in the bowl game to Rutgers in the Pinstripe Bowl, 31-24. And of course, Florida, I think they started out okay, and then they were shaky the rest of the way, and of course went 5-7 and 3-5 in the SEC East, and that's why I said that like Billy Napier could be on the hot seat this year. I think Florida fans don't really like him that much, or it's just the media being stupid like they always are. I don't know. Things are a little shaky right now, like I just said earlier at the beginning of the video. So there you have it for last season. 5-7 for Florida, 7-6 for Miami, 3-5 both conferences. The SEC East for Florida, and of course the ACC. They don't have divisions anymore. They removed them from this past season. Okay, so the last meeting, which was August 24th of 2019, Florida wins 24-20. It was a close game. I think Florida scored at the end, and Miami, I think it was more a defensive game. As you guys can see, it was a low-scoring game. But whenever there's a rivalry game, it means that it's always intense, no matter what. And of course, also in this rivalry, Miami leads 29-27 in the series, which I'm kind of confused by. Like, Miami, Florida, and Florida State, and pretty much a lot of the other schools of Florida, like also UCF now, which they're in the Big 12. These teams need to play each other. Like, I mean, if they play a lot each other, like that's a lot of key matchups. And also, like if Miami plays Florida or Miami plays Florida State, UCF, I mean, like that's a good solid wins too. Plus bragging rights, and also just recruiting wars as well. Just bring back the old ways of Florida, Miami, and Florida State, and then also UCF and those types of schools. Okay, so the location will be at the Swamp, which is a Ben Hill Griffin Stadium at University of Florida, where the greats Tim Tebow and many others played in, which I was a big fan of Tim Tebow in 2008. In those years, it was fun to watch college football. But Florida hasn't really been the same since. They've been kind of shaky. I'm gonna stop saying shaky. They haven't been great, and so Florida needs to get back on the top like they were back then too. So I mean, the Swamp is a tough place to play in, and so it's gonna be a very interesting game. Hopefully, it'll be like a nighttime game or a 3:30 p.m. Eastern game. I don't know. I forgot to look on the time for the game. So the coaches for both teams, we got Billy Napier, 2 seasons at Florida, 11-14 and 6-10. Almost similar with Mario Cristobal, 2 seasons at Miami, 12-13, 6-10. Not great for both coaches with high expectations, especially Mario Cristobal coming from Oregon, and of course Billy Napier coming from Louisiana. So things could be interesting after this year, depending on how both coaches do with their teams. And so there you have with the 2 coaches of the current staff right now. So the transfer portal news we have for Florida. We have 25 players transferring out, 16 players transferring in. Notable players transferring in or transferring out. We got 4-star safety Kamari Wilson goes to Arizona State. Then we got 4-star offensive tackle Kayonte Goodwin to be determined, and of course notable players transferring in, which is a big-time player, 5-star DB Cormani McClain from Colorado, which I was actually shocked that he left Deion Sanders, which he committed to Deion Sanders 2 years ago, and it's just crazy that like so many players left that school, and now Cormani McClain is with Florida. I don't know if he had any more offers, but that's what the people are saying, and so there you have it with the transfer portal news for Florida. We got transfer portal news for Miami. 30, I think I counted this right, but 36 players transferred out from Miami, and only 15 players transferred in, which this is just crazy to even think about. Notable players transferring or leaving. We got 4-star wide receiver Frank Larson goes to UMass. 4-star defensive edge Jaden Wayne goes to Washington. Notable players transferring in, which would be the key player for the transfer portal, was 4-star QB Cam Ward from Washington State. He was a top priority in the transfer portal for any team, especially like Ohio State or like Oregon, or just like any team desperately wanted Cam Ward. He was actually a really good quarterback. And also 4-star defensive edge Tyler Barron is from Louisville. I don't know how accurate this is, but this is from Athlon Sports. You guys can go check it out. I'll probably put the link in the description below. But apparently 14 starters are returning for Florida, 8 on offense and 6 on defense, which that is really key for Billy Napier and his team. So that's helpful. And then also, so you're only losing about 3 or 4 players from both teams, and you also stack on other players coming in as well from recruiting and also from the transfer portal. So that's good look for Florida. For Miami, 11 starters are returning. We got 6 players returning on offense, 5 players returning on defense. So that's good for Mario Cristobal, and they also got some key players from the transfer portal like Cam Ward and many others as well. So I think that Miami might actually be pretty decent on for the offense this year. I don't know about defense, so who knows about them on defense. And this is from Athlon Sports, so you guys can go check them out. So as per usual, I like to do a top 3 offensive players, try to get the best from like the top list of the stats from top 3 offensive players, and also top 3 for defensive players as well. Graham Mertz, who is a senior transfer from Wisconsin, played last year for Florida, went 261 completions to 358 attempts, 72.9 completion percentage, not too bad at all. Almost had 3,000 passing yards with 2,903, 20 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. You think they actually did really well this year? Nope. They went 5-7. And of course, running back Montrell Johnson Jr. will be the main guy because ETN transferred to Georgia. What was his name? Yeah, I just did a video. So ETN, which was a key guy for them, which sucks for Billy Napier and the team. But hey, Montrell actually had a really good year as from last year. 152 carries, 817 rushing yards, averaged about 5.4 yards of run, and of course 5 touchdowns. So that's going to be a solid running back for Florida this year. Okay, so Eugene Wilson will be the guy. Ricky Pearsall goes to the NFL. So Eugene Wilson Eugene Wilson III will be the main guy, in my opinion. He has 61 receptions, 538 receiving yards, averaged about 8.8 per catch, 6 touchdowns. Miami's top 3 players, Cam Ward, like I said before. Tyler Van Dyke goes to Wisconsin. He was actually a good quarterback, but he just played on bad teams. So Cam Ward will be the guy who could be a Heisman hopeful this year with 323 completions to 485 attempts, 66.6. That's a scary percentage. 3,735 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. So there you have it for the quarterback position. We have running back position. I think Mark Fletcher will be the guy because Parrish transferred to Ole Miss with 105 carries, 514 rushing yards, averaged about 4.9 yards of run or of carries, 5 touchdowns as well. So not too bad for a backup running back. I think he was a starter or may have been backup running back. All right, so we have wide receiver, which this is huge for Mario Cristobal. We got Xavier Restrepo. If I pronounced that last name wrong, I am sorry. He had 85 receptions, 1,092 receiving yards, averaged about 12.8 yards per catch, and 6 touchdowns. So he is back with the team. So that's going to be a solid receiver for Cam Ward because he's more of a passing pocket passer, I think, type quarterback, in my opinion, because he likes to throw the ball a lot, and so that's key for Mario Cristobal in Miami. So the top 3 defensive players, we have defensive linemen. This is like for defensive line, for linebackers, and for defensive backs, like a safety, free safety, etc., etc., etc. So I try to find who's coming back, who's the leading tackler for these different, like just whoever is like the top player who has the most stats currently. So I got defensive tackle Cam Jackson with 32 total tackles, 18 solo, and 2 pass deflections. Then we have Shamir James with 55 total tackles, 24 solo, 1 sack. And of course for Jordan Castile, 59 total tackles, 29 solo, 1 interception, and 3 pass deflections. So that's going to be, those guys are going to be key factors for the defensive end. So the top 3 defensive players we have for Miami, we have defensive lineman or defensive edge Ruben Bain Jr., 44 total tackles, 23 solo, 7 sacks, 3 forced fumbles, and 1 pass deflection. Pretty good. Middle linebacker, we have Francisco Malgao. I can't pronounce that last name. I'm not going to destroy that last name. He had 82 total tackles, 48 solo, 7 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 1 interception, 3 pass deflections. That's actually really impressive. Daryl Porter Jr., 23 total tackles, 16 solo, and 4 pass deflections. So there you have it for the top 3 defensive players for Florida, and of course for Miami as well. It's kind of crazy that these 2 teams are playing like so early in the year. The full team stats for offense, we have Florida with yards per game, 408.8 yards per game, passing per game, 259.3 yards per passing per game. We have rushing per game, 149.5 yards. Then we have total points per game, 28.4. So not too bad on offense. Though I think they probably lost a lot of close games, maybe a few blowouts, but they just they got unlucky this year with going 5-7. Also, same reason with Miami. They had a good offense. It's just they got unlucky this or last year, and even though they went 7-6, they still had a lot of games that were unlucky. All right, yards per game, 431.2 yards per game. Passing per game, we have 258.0 yards per game. Doing for rushing wise, we have 173.2. Then points per game, we have 31.5 points per game. So like I said, their offense was really good, but their defense was not so good at all last year. Okay, so Florida, for defense, we have yards allowed per game, 382.3, not great. Passing yards allowed per game, 226.7. Okay, that's not too bad. Rushing yards allowed per game, not bad at all, 155. Okay, maybe that's, but I mean, it's not too bad, but still, it's under 200. So not great, but not too bad. All right, so points allowed per game, 27.6, not great. It's almost like 30 points per game, 35, almost close to it as well. Almost similar to Florida, we have Miami's defense allowing 324.1 yards per game. Passing, similar to Florida's, 227.0 yards. Oh, wait, I meant for like rushing. But rushing, they actually did pretty decent with only allowing 97.1 yards allowed. And of course, defense, they only allowed 22.1 points per game. Not too bad at all, but still almost not great either. Still almost similar to Florida, which is a little bit off point-wise and then rushing-wise. So maybe they're a better defensive rushing team than they are for passing compared to Florida's rushing. All right, so my final prediction, just to let you guys know, I am not a fan of either team. I'm not a fan of Miami. I'm not a fan of Florida. Both teams did not do so well last year, so this is a make it or break it game, depending on how well both teams will play. This is like I need to win this game for Billy Napier or Mario Cristobal, but mainly for Billy Napier and Florida. This will dictate, I think this will dictate how the season goes, even though it's the first game. But I think that I will go. I usually predict teams who are at home, but I think that Miami will win by -7 points. I think they are a better team overall from defense to offense, mainly for offense compared to Florida, but I could be totally wrong. So I'm still going to go with Miami, even though it's at the Swamp. Anything can happen with rivalry games as well. All right, guys, this is Set 42 here. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you do, comment down below what I got wrong. Comment down below what I need to do more often, or if you guys like these types of videos with the slideshows, let me know in comments down below. All right, guys, set for here. Y'all have a great rest of the day. Peace out.